Hello friends, and welcome back to another virtual story time with Miss Liz. Today is the first day of April, and rather than playing a joke on you all, I thought I'd give you the good news that April is National Poetry Month. That means all month long we'll be celebrating by reading poems and books in verse. But what is poetry? Poetry is lots of things. And in today's book, we're going to follow a young boy named Daniel as he tries to figure out what makes a poem. Today's book is called Daniel Finds a Poem. It's by Micha Archer. And as you can see here, our young friend Daniel is making some new animal friends. Let's see what's going to happen. Daniel Finds a Poem by Micha Archer. Daniel knows all the rocks, trees, and animals in the park. One Monday morning, Daniel sees something new on the park gate. A sign reads, "Poetry in the Park, Sunday at 6 o'clock. What is poetry? Daniel says. He looks up in surprise when he hears a spider say, "To me, poetry is when morning dew glistens." And look at how that dew is glistening on the spider's web. Wow, that's what poetry is to a spider. On Tuesday, Daniel climbs the old oak tree. He sees Squirrel. "Squirrel, do you know what poetry is?" he asks. "Poetry is when crisp leaves crunch," Squirrel tells him. And doesn't that look fun? They're crunching together. Crunch, 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 crunch. On Wednesday, Daniel calls into Chipmunk's hole. "Chipmunk, can you tell me what poetry is?" Poetry is a home with many windows and an old stone wall. Sounds a lot like Chipmunk's home to me. On Thursday, Daniel makes a boat with a leaf for a sail and watches the wind carry it across the pond. He calls quietly to Frog. "Excuse me, Frog, what is poetry?" "Poetry," says Frog, "is a cool pool to dive into." And look at him diving right now. Ribbit. On Friday, Daniel parts the cattails and finds Turtle. "Hello, Turtle. I have a question. Do you know what poetry is?" "I think poetry is sun-warmed sand," Turtle says. On Saturday afternoon, Daniel finds Cricket in the shade of the slide. When the shadows are long, Cricket fills the air with music. Chirp, 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 chirp. "Is this poetry to you, Cricket?" asks Daniel. "Singing at twilight when the day is done? Indeed it is, Daniel," says Cricket. That night, moonlight fills Daniel's room. He hears a whoo. Leaning from his window, he calls to Owl. "Owl, what is poetry?" "Oh, poetry. Poetry is bright stars in the branches, moonlight on the grass, and silent wings to take me wherever I go. Good night, dear Daniel," she whispers, and flies off into the night. On Sunday, the sun wakes Daniel up. He is happy when he remembers it's Sunday. "Today is poetry in the park," says Daniel, "and I have a poem." And here is Daniel's poem. Look at him saying it out loud in front of all of these people. And I think you'll remember who gave him a little inspiration when you hear it. It goes, morning dew glistens, crisp leaves crunch. There's a home with many windows in the old stone wall. Cool pools to dive in, sun-warm sands to lie in, singing at twilight when the day is done. Bright stars in the branches, moonlight on the grass, and silent wings to take me wherever I go. Do you remember all of these lines that the animals told Daniel when he asked them what poetry is? They all told him their own idea of what poetry is, and he brought those stories together into this beautiful poem. On the way home, Daniel stops to watch the sunset sky reflecting in the pond. That looks like poetry to me. To me too, says Dragonfly. And that, my friends, is the end. Now, a lot of us believe that poetry is words that rhyme, and that is sometimes true. But as you saw from Daniel's poem, poetry does not always have to rhyme. So, I hope you're excited for the rest of the month of April, where we are going to explore many different kinds of poetry. I'm really excited to share it all with you, and I will see you soon for more great books. Thanks for watching.